Part 80. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 809. Pan Zhen was sitting in the main seat of the Yongxiao Hall and did not stand up to greet him. Although Angel Yan was a wholly left-winger and his status in Liang civilization was similar, Pan Zhen could see that Yan was just a third-generation angel who could not stand on the stage. Pan Zhen, guardian of the fierce sun, I have nothing else to do here. I was ordered by Queen Kesha to come to the Chaiwa star system to conduct civilizational observations. There are things belonging to our angels in China. When the Liang civilization is arresting the Dino survivors, should they pay a little attention to avoid affecting innocent people? Everyone present knew what Yan's words were referring to, which was Liang's use of Yongxiaoding's weapons. The various weapons equipped on the celestial battleships were extremely powerful and could easily worsen the environment of a planet. Angel Yan did not have the confidence to stop Liang's actions on China, but he still had the confidence to gain Liang's confidence not to use weapons of mass destruction in China. Pan Zhen didn't say anything. A Liang civil servant in the hall stood up. Your Excellency, Holy Left Wing, when did your angelic civilization reach out to the Chaiwa star system? This place is at least millions of light years away from the order of justice. Do angels plan to intervene in civilized things that have not joined the order of justice in the future? Or is it that the decision to protect the Chinese civilization is not the intention of the King of Angels, but the personal intention of His Excellency the Holy Left Wing? Yan frowned slightly, but he was not stopped by the words of this Liang official. When did angels act with reputation in mind? Are you questioning me? I am the Holy Left Wing of the angelic civilization, and my will represents the will of Queen Kesha. Or which of the Liang friends present plans to go to the Merlot Heavenly Court to question Queen Kesha in person? If you want, I can send 2 angels to send you there. This Liang official wanted to General Yan Yujun, but he was choked and speechless. He did not have the courage to really agree to go to the Merlot Heavenly Court to question the King of Angels. Okay, Holy Zuian, since you said that China has something belonging to your angels, you should go and get it first. I have nothing else but plenty of time. We Liang can still afford to wait for a few days. As for not affecting innocent people, I believe that you are not that naive. This is war, and the patron saint of China has killed hundreds of loyal Sun warriors. As the regent of Liang, I have the right to seek justice from the patron saint of China. After saying this, Pan Zhen stood up from the main seat and left the Yongxiao Hall. Seeing this, Yan also understood that this meant seeing off the guests, and did not stay any longer, so he turned around and left. Because of Yan, Liang did not re-enter the atmosphere of China the next day, but chose to recuperate for a few days. In fact, it is not just Yan's fault. Liang needs to think and develop countermeasures to deal with Sun Wukong. At the same time, the injured Liang army soldiers and Suankan need time to recover from their injuries. Especially Xiankun, as Liang's high-level combat power, if he falls in China, it will be a big blow to Liang's prestige and strength. The reason why Pan Zhen didn't take action himself before was because of this. He couldn't take action before he figured out Sun Wukong's ability, and he didn't dare to. Today's Liang Ming relies on Pan Zhen's power as a deterrent, barely maintaining Liang's position in the known universe. If Pan Zhen and Sun Wukong had a conflict, it would be natural for him to win, but he would lose face and gain nothing if he lost. If Pan Zhen's ability is discovered by other civilizations, especially the Thunder Blade stars, the balance of power in the Dao galaxy may be broken, and Liang will also bear greater external pressure. In China, the daytime war was just a brief confrontation between Sun Wukong and Liang after the two sides took action, but this frightened the dynasty of China and thought it was a natural disaster sent by gods. In the end, it was Tukeo who stood up and used some means to stabilize the monarch of the Shenzhou dynasty and agreed to the plan to relocate the people in the warring areas. It doesn't matter if you don't agree. The light that cuts through the sky and the earth during the day is still vivid in my mind, and the blackened ravine that is more than 10 kilometers long on the ground proves that this is not an illusion. It is impossible for mortals not to be afraid. This makes the plan to relocate the people extremely smooth. Sun Wukong and Lao Du were sitting in a rare intact pavilion in the city that was almost in ruins. Old Sun, now that things have reached this point, Lai Yang probably won't make peace easily. You are still too impulsive in doing things. Tukeo shook his head slightly. In fact, this result was within his expectation. After having been with Sun Wukong for so long, he knew his character very well. This was also the reason why Tukeo didn't want Sun Wukong to get involved in the first place. The Liang Star people have already taken action against the people of China, and they don't regard them as human beings at all. How could I not be angry? How could I not take action? Although Sun Wukong also feels headache that the situation has developed to this point, he does not regret his choice. Okay, old Sun, I don't blame you. Now China and Ardino are grasshoppers on the same rope. You have killed so many Liang army soldiers today, Liang will definitely take you down first to restore their Liang majesty. Tukeo analyzed, and Sun Wukong on the side said with slight disdain. Lao Du, do you think Liang can take me down? Today, those 4 guardians of the blazing sun were beaten almost to death by an old sun with a few sticks. In the end, if I hadn't been concerned about the people of China, I, old Sun, would have broken into their heavenly palace and captured their emperor of Liang. Sun Wukong said angrily, while Tukeo said seriously. Old Sun, you must not underestimate Liang's strength. The ones you fought yesterday and today were all Liang's minions at best. In other words, the Liang guardian you finally defeated still has some weight in the known universe, but the strongest person in Liang now is their regent Pan Zhen. You have also seen today that the blazing sun has the ability to drive solar energy, and Pan Zhen is a master in this area. If you are not careful, the entire Chinese mainland will turn into ashes. Sun Wukong frowned when he heard this. He was not afraid of the enemy being strong, but he was afraid that in today's situation, even if he won in the end, there would be only ruins left, so what's the point of winning? So, if you want Liang to throw a rat weapon, you can't set the battlefield in China, but in their Yungxiao heavenly court. Only in this way can Pan Zhen be unable to attack with all his strength. Tukeo told his plan, and Sun Wukong thought it made sense, but then Tukeo sighed. But it is so difficult to enter the heavenly court of Yungxiao. If there's any difficulty, I can just call in. Sun Wukong said confidently, and Tukeo directly poured cold water on Sun Wukong. If you could break in easily, Liang's civilization would have been gone long ago. Yungxiao Shanting is a rare celestial battleship in the known universe. It must be equipped with an extremely large energy shield, which cannot be broken by ordinary means. Take Liang's attack today as an example. Hitting them is like scratching an itch. How do you hit them? Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 810. Just when Tukeo and Sun Wukong were worrying about how to break into the heavenly palace, a female voice suddenly came. It seems that you need a little help. I have a way for you to enter the heavenly palace. Who is there? Get out of here, old Sun. Sun Wukong's eyes suddenly glowed with golden light, and he immediately saw a woman with long black hair wearing a purple and black leather combat uniform. Sun Wukong vaguely seemed to see angel wings behind her. The woman also noticed Sun Wukong's prying eyes, and frowned slightly. The next moment, Sun Wukong couldn't see any information at all. Reading my information for the first time, God of China, you seem a bit rude. Morgana did not show herself as a demon. After so many years of beatings, she also understood that demons were very unpopular in the eyes of some civilizations. Who are you? I have never seen you in China. Could it be that you are also a visitor from outer space? Oh, so that's what you call other civilizations. Yes, I did just arrive here. But your heroic appearance fighting against the burning sun has deeply attracted me. Is your name Sun Wukong? I think we can talk by candlelight at night. Morgana took a seductive step and wanted to get closer to Sun Wukong, but the next moment a golden dark alloy rod was pressed in front of her. Stop being arrogant and tell me who you are. I never deal with guys who hide their heads and show their tails. On devil number 2, the devil sitting in front of the console smiled and joked, it seems that the queen's beauty trap has failed. This has been expected for a long time, there is nothing strange about it. Achuo said calmly that they had seen enough of the naughty tricks their queen sometimes played, and they were used to it. Morgana put away the slightly charming expression on her face, smiled and stretched out her hand to push Sun Wukong's weapon aside without stopping. I am not your enemy. On the contrary, I am here to help you. Sun Wukong did not relax his vigilance. This woman was able to approach him quietly, so she was by no means an economical lamp. Tukeo has been observing this mysterious woman who suddenly appeared. He always felt that this woman was a bit familiar, but he couldn't remember who it was for a while. Morgana sat down opposite Sun Wukong and Tukeo, and crossed her legs casually. Seeing that both of them were waiting for her answer, she knew that if she didn't reveal her identity, the conversation might not be able to continue. I am Morgana, the only queen loyal to all the demons in the known universe, and a fighter who fights for the freedom of all creatures in the universe. Sun Wukong had no reaction when he heard this, but Tukeo's brows furrowed into the character Chuan. Demon Queen, why did you come to China? There are no angels here, nor are there any demon believers who believe in fallen freedom. Morgana smiled and leaned back in her chair. Can't I come here without an angel? Who said that? But there is indeed something that attracts this queen, and that is this powerful warrior. What, you want to recruit my grandson? That's right, I don't like anyone in this broken place like China except you. You have the top level of strength in the entire known universe. It would be too wasteful to stay in this mere planetary system. How about following this queen to conquer the universe and overpower the stars? Morgana did not hesitate to praise her. The more she learned about the power displayed by Sun Wukong, the more interested she became. I, old son, are not interested in what you are talking about conquering the universe. Faced with Morgana's warm invitation, Sun Wukong refused directly. This made Morgana very regretful, but it did not give up her idea of recruiting Sun Wukong. Then let's change. I heard that you are now deeply involved in the conflict between Liang and Dino. I can help you, but the price is that you will work for me in the future. How about that? As long as you become a subordinate of this queen, you will be a member of my demonic civilization. China will also be the territory of my demonic civilization, and Liang will not go to war with my demonic civilization just for the mere Dino survivors. Morgana moved forward, staring at Sun Wukong with a burning gaze, full of aggression. So what's the difference between you and Liang? China is the place where I was born and where my teacher rests. I once promised Master that I would protect this world forever, so you don't have to waste your efforts. I will not join your demonic civilization. Faced with Sun Wukong's no room for rejection, Morgana was a little disappointed, but she wasn't angry either. In this case, forget it, but what I said just now is still valid. I can help you enter the heavenly palace. Hearing this, Sun Wukong and Tukeo's expressions changed, and they looked at Morgana who was smiling. I have already rejected your solicitation, why do you still want to help us? Sun Wukong spoke in confusion. Morgana stood up and took a few steps and said. This queen is not that stingy. Just treat it as my whim. If you really help my old grandson enter the heavenly court of Yungxiao, I will accept your love. Sun Wukong stood up and clasped his fists solemnly. In fact, he could tell that the woman in front of him who called himself Demon Queen Morgana was not a good person. But since the other party is willing to help them, Sun Wukong will not tolerate any sand in his eyes, as long as the other party does not act recklessly in China. Morgana was very satisfied with the result. Sometimes favors are much more important than promises, and being favored by a third-generation fighting god is even more precious. A stream of light from the periphery of the Chiwa star system quickly swept from the dark deep space of the universe and entered the planetary system in the blink of an eye. When it was about to arrive in China, the stream of light suddenly dispersed, revealing a figure fanning the wings of an angel. Leng stopped flying and did not approach Shenzhou rashly. He opened the eye of insight and connected to the sacred Kesha knowledge treasure house of Merlot Heaven to retrieve all the information about the Chiwa star system. When she set off from the Justice World, her teacher Binghua said that all forces in China were gathering together, and there might be some conspiracy secretly. She told her not to rush forward after arriving in China, but to ask Kesha for her opinion. Yan also came to China. Leng was very surprised, and then he figured out that Queen Kesha should also be paying attention to things here. Seeing this, Leng directly contacted Kesha through Kesha's treasure house of sacred knowledge. Queen Kesha, I am Leng. Oh, Leng, you are back from the world of justice. Yes, Queen, the teacher asked me to return to the known universe to protect the divine state from being attacked by the scorching sun. I have now arrived in the Chiwa star system. Okay, Leng, you came back just in time. I heard from Binghua that you have upgraded to the third generation of the divine body. It just so happens that our angels lack a powerful fighting god over there. Don't be in a hurry to join Yan. The holy right-wing Hexi is currently also in the Chiwa star system. You should join her first and pay attention to the development of the situation secretly. Leng Wen was stunned. What was going on? Tianji Wang Hexi was also here, so why did the teacher ask him to come back? But Queen Kesha, what about China? Don't worry. I have asked Yan to warn Lai Yang. If they go too far, we angels will not stand idly by. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 811. Leng hung up the communication with Queen Kesha and frowned slightly. Shenzhou was a place that the teacher wanted to protect, but Queen Kesha had no intention of stopping Lai Yang's actions in Shenzhou. But Leng has no intention of directly disobeying the Queen's order, and Leng is very confident in her current strength. If Lai Yang really takes action against the mainland of China, she will directly stop Lai Yang. When Leng was learning combat skills and knowledge in the Justice World, he was more or less indirectly influenced by Binghua's character, which was to not worry too much about everything, whether it was fighting or doing things. In the end, this universe is all about who has the biggest fists and whoever speaks is reasonable. As long as you are strong enough, then all problems will not be a problem. There is no need to care about other people's thoughts. On the contrary, others need to care about your thoughts. Leng, I am He 11, the Holy Right Wing. Queen Kesha asked you to join me. This is my position. You can just come over here. Leng suddenly received He 11's communication, and realized that it was Queen Kesha who had greeted He 11, and quickly replied in the communication. I understand, I'll be there right away. After saying that, Leng flew towards the fourth planet of the Chiwa star system, which was still some distance away from China. It was a fiery red planet, some distance away from China. Didn't your teacher come? He 11 asked casually when he saw Leng coming over. No, teacher, she has important matters to do in the world of justice, so she asked me to return to the known universe. He 11 was a little regretful when she heard this. It seemed that she would not be able to see Binghua this time, but then her eyes fell on Leng and looked at him carefully, with a silvery glow appearing in her eyes. Leng could feel that her body was being scanned by something, and knew that it was He-11 who did it. After a moment, she reminded He-11 a little uncomfortably. "Holy right Hexy, should you pay attention to your behavior?" "Oh, I'm sorry. I heard from Kesha that you upgraded your third-generation divine body, which was optimized by Binghua. I'm quite curious." He-11 was not surprised at all when his scan was discovered by Leng, but he still politely withdrew his gaze. "However, your divine body is indeed different from that of an angel in the conventional sense. It focuses more on defense and attack capabilities. It is estimated that ordinary god-killing weapons cannot break through your defense." Leng nodded. After upgrading the divine body, Binghua had already told her about the characteristics and abilities of the immortal body. Leng knew the power he had at the moment. After that, the two sides stopped talking. After all, He-11 and Leng had no interaction before. If Leng hadn't been a student of Binghua, He-11 would never have met Leng. China, after several days of waiting, the blazing sun did not appear again, which made Sun Wukong and Tukeo feel a little uneasy. After all, they are very passive. If Liang launches an attack directly from outer space, they will not have time to react. Morgana was not in a hurry. She sat in her demon number 2 and waited for things to unfold. After all, this war had nothing to do with demons. Although she is a little curious about Dino's legacy, she is not very interested in it. If Dino's god-making project is available, she will definitely be interested. But Dino obviously didn't have it. If he had, he would have already used it to deter the blazing sun. Even if the devil now obtains Dino's 2 major god-making engineering technologies, it will still take a lot of time to select a suitable bearer and invest huge resources in training. Wouldn't it be great if she, the Demon King, had this time to train a few more god-level fallen angels and great demons? After all, the super genes of demons and fallen angels are not bad either. What she lacks are resources and time. Lai Yang was also waiting. After Xian Kun's injuries were repaired by Master Lai Yang, Pan Zhen felt that it was time for Lai Yang to move. As the sky in the sky moved, the minds of angels, demons, and some civilized observers who quietly came to the Chaiwa star system were all moved, secretly thinking that Lai Yang finally planned to take action. As the heavenly court of Yungxiao, which overwhelms the world, came to China again, countless people began to pray, fearing that the battle between the gods and immortals in the sky would affect them. After discovering the appearance of Yungxiaoding, Sun Wukong and the Dinyo remnants came to the area where they had fought before, looking up at the huge thing that covered the sky. As the clouds and mist were gathered into solid platforms, the densely packed Liang army and Liang generals were arranged in dozens of arrays, looking down at Sun Wukong, who was fighting alone below. "Sun Wukong, my army of Liang is out, why don't we just surrender quickly? Otherwise, when our army takes action, you will die without a burial place." A Liang general shouted loudly at Sun Wukong below. Today, Liang has come up with an unprecedented lineup. 2 Liang guardians, dozens of Liang generals, and thousands of elites of the Liang army. Such a huge force is enough to destroy an aerospace-level civilization, let alone a pre-nuclear, cold weapon-era civilized China. If Sun Wukong had not only needed 100 Liang army soldiers, General Liang would have had the confidence to walk sideways in China. The reason why he is so mobilized now is all for Sun Wukong. "You bastards from the burning sun, if you want to take action, you're still arguing around, so just fight if you want. I, old Sun, will come today to beat Liang with a stick and make a big fuss in the heavenly palace." Sun Wukong stretched out his hand and pointed at the sky, displaying his unruly attitude. He was no less inferior to the heavenly soldiers and generals than the blazing sun. Xian Kun was very quiet today and did not stand out. After all, he was almost beaten to death by the opponent a few days ago. He did not dare to be careless when facing Sun Wukong again. Yuan Li looked at Sun Wukong below with a solemn expression. Seeing that the other party had no intention of bowing his head, he ordered according to General Pan Zhen's order. The generals listened to the order, act according to the plan, and form a formation to capture Sun Wukong. General Li Yang on each platform heard the words and left the military formation. In one moment, dozens of flaming meteors fell together, which was very spectacular. Yuan Li and Xiankun were among them. Sun Wukong did not move, letting the flaming meteors falling from the sky surround him. He had been preparing for today's battle for a long time, and was not afraid of General Li Yang's siege. With the defeat of generals like you, even a few hundred more people can't even hope to take down my grandson. Sun Wukong naturally recognized the familiar faces among the Li Yang generals who surrounded him. While speaking, he pulled out the weapon he had dug into the ground from the side, lowered his body slightly and began to look for a breakthrough. Although Sun Wukong was disdainful, he was still very cautious in his heart. When facing a siege, he must first open a gap to prevent himself from being attacked from both sides. This is a basic operation. General Li Yang present naturally saw what Sun Wukong was thinking, and all of them stood ready. Yuan Li and Xiankun looked at each other. The two weapons glowed with thunder, lightning, and sun ray respectively, and rushed towards Sun Wukong first. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 812. Sun Wukong dodged to avoid the incoming warhammer and the incoming mace, and swung out the dark alloy rod in his hand to repel them both. But before Sun Wukong could take advantage of the victory to pursue, the spears, sabers, and halberds in the hands of several Li Yang generals all came from behind to stab or slash. Sun Wukong turned around and swept all the attacking Li Yang generals' weapons to one side with his stick, but there were also attacks coming from the other side, one after another, giving no chance to Sun Wukong to take advantage of the victory and pursue the attack. Like a big airtight net, Sun Wukong is like a fish trapped in it, bumping into walls everywhere and unable to escape at all. Once again, he swept away several stabbing Sun War halberd spears, and several energy chops with scorching aura from the side came to his side, and with a loud explosion, they swallowed up Sun Wukong's body. The Li Yang generals, whose weapons were swept away by Sun Wukong's stick, also took the opportunity to retreat again and reorganize their formation. Sun Wukong waved his hand to sweep away the dust and smoke of the explosion, with a fierce expression on his face, grinning as he looked at the surrounding Li Yang generals, and whispered, "Is this what you rely on? The art of arraying in the army is fine against other people, but if you want to deal with me, son, you are too fanciful." The Li Yang generals around him were silent. Yuan Li and Xiankun resisted and responded sideways. As long as they didn't rush forward and Sun Wukong seized the opportunity, they would be fine. But the next moment, the expressions of the Li Yang generals all changed. The dark alloy rod in Sun Wukong's hand suddenly extended, and one end directly pushed one of the Li Yang generals away. Immediately, the dozens of meters long dark alloy rod was swept away, and the original tight formation was instantly broken, and the positions of General Li Yang were disrupted. Seeing this, Sun Wukong showed a smile, picked the nearest one and prepared to kill General Li Yang first. But at this moment, metal chains as thick as a thumb were suddenly thrown out by each of the Li Yang generals and passed around Sun Wukong. The next moment, these metal chains suddenly tightened and tightly entangled Sun Wukong in the middle. The surrounding General Li Yang jumped into the air and held a chain. Under the pressure together, Sun Wukong's body was dragged into the air and he was unable to exert any force. As soon as Sun Wukong was entangled in the chain, he secretly said something bad, and the next moment he struggled to break free, but the chain was so strong that he couldn't break free for a while. Sun Wukong turned to use dark energy to corrode and melt these chains, but the dark energy was absorbed by the chains as soon as it was released. Sun Wukong, you have been bound by the immortal binding chain. You will never be able to break free. Let's see how arrogant you are. Several Liang generals who had just been injured by Sun Wukong mocked. Sun Wukong ignored them at all. He gritted his teeth and forced the release of dark energy, and golden dark energy gradually emerged around him. Yuan Li and Xian Kun still have fresh memories of Sun Wukong's power and have always been vigilant. Seeing this, they quickly tightened the immortal locks in their hands and asked the surrounding General Liang not to relax their vigilance. At the same time, they provide energy to the immortal binding lock to suppress Sun Wukong and prevent him from breaking free. This prototype bundle of immortal locks is actually Liang's special shackles used to imprison super warriors, which can suppress the super warrior's super genes and dark energy. When discussing how to deal with Sun Wukong, someone suggested that based on the power shown by Sun Wukong, it is not advisable to defeat him by force, but to outwit him. So the battle plan to trap Sun Wukong was put forward. After being transformed by the Liang master in the Yungxiao heavenly court, and combined with some precious metals, a weapon that could be used to restrain and suppress the divine body was created. But this god-killing weapon is just a temporary thing, and it is still unknown how long it can trap Sun Wukong. However, with the help of more than a dozen Liang generals and 2 guardians, it will definitely not be a problem to temporarily trap Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong clenched his teeth as the dark energy around him accumulated more and more as he efficiently ran his genetic engine. Seeing this, Yuan Li knew that his plan to completely restrain and suppress Sun Wukong had failed, and he made an immediate decision. Do it. Hearing this, the 2 Liang generals released the immortal binding locks in their hands, recalled their spears, and rushed towards Sun Wukong. Orange fire appeared on the spear blades. Sun Wukong had no choice but to watch the spear blade stabbing him, but at the next moment, except for Sun Wukong himself, including Angel Yan, He-11, demons, other civilizations who were watching the battle, and even Leng, who was flying towards China, all stared slightly. Eyes widened. Because after the god-killing spear in General Liang's hand pierced Sun Wukong's armor, he could no longer make an inch forward. So hard. Morgana, who was sitting on the demon throne, exclaimed. Although Liang's god-killing martial arts skills were not very strong, they were still capable of injuring the divine body. General Liang who attacked Sun Wukong was also horrified and withdrew his weapon. This time, the gun blade was directly aimed at Sun Wukong's head. This time there was no armor to block him. General Liang could clearly see that when the gun blade touched Sun Wukong's cheek, it was as if it was stabbed on an invisible wall. It only made Sun Wukong's facial muscles slightly dented, and he could no longer move forward. Seeing this, an ominous premonition suddenly arose in Yuan Li's heart, and he realized it the next moment. I saw Sun Wukong shouting loudly, breaking the immortal locks that bound him, with a face like a glaring King Kong, reaching out to directly grasp the Liang god-killing spear that was pierced in his face, and stretched out his hand to pull it over. Then he held the Liang god-killing spear in his hand and threw it at the 2 Liang generals. The next moment, the 2 Liang generals were skewered and pierced through the chests by their own weapons. Such a ferocious scene shocked the surrounding General Liang. At this time, Sun Wukong had recalled his dark alloy rod and went on a killing spree. The shocked General Liang completely lost his previous cooperation. Even though Yuan Li and Xian Kun tried their best to stop Sun Wukong, it had no effect. Sun Wukong directly resisted the 2 attacks, but also hit the head of Liang general who had just besieged him with a stick, causing his head to break and bleed, and he fell to the ground without knowing whether he was alive or dead. Seeing that the Liang generals who besieged Sun Wukong might not be spared if this continues, the heavenly court of Yungxiao started to operate again, and several beams of light with a diameter of 1 meter fell from the bottom of the heavenly court and swept towards Sun Wukong. The air was cut by the scorching energy rays, and the ground was swept out into charred ravines and deep channels, burning with raging fire. Seeing this, Sun Wukong was filled with hatred. He stopped entangled with General Liang, Xian Kun, and Unli. He avoided the cutting beam while speeding towards the sky. The soldiers of the Liang army who were originally standing on the platform gathered at the edge of the Yungziao heavenly court at some point. Sun Wukong rushed straight towards them, but suddenly hit an invisible wall. Seeing this, Sun Wukong immediately remembered the high-strength energy shield that Tukeo said the celestial battleship was equipped with. He raised the dark alloy rod and smashed it down with all his strength. With a bang, a turbulent air wave erupted, but it was only in the invisible energy shield. There was a faint ripple on the ground. General Liang, who was staying on the other side of the shield, felt a little relieved when he saw this, and ordered a change of formation. The Liang army soldiers who were originally arrayed in front holding spears made way for a path, and a Liang army soldier carrying a metal crossbow appeared. Half kneeling, raised the crossbow and pointed it at Sun Wukong behind the shield. The next moment, thousands of crossbow arrows shot out, turning into streams of red light, flying directly through the shield of the Yungziao heavenly palace towards Sun Wukong. Seeing this, Sun Wukong waved the dark alloy rod in his hand to knock away the incoming crossbow arrows, but who knew that these crossbow arrows exploded as soon as they were touched, and they were extremely powerful. Although the Sun Army is generally equipped with cold weapons, their long-range weapons, the Sun crossbows, are no less powerful than the high-tech weapons of some civilizations, and they all have the characteristics of restraining or even suppressing super soldiers. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 813. But Sun Wukong was very flexible. After discovering that these crossbow arrows could not be caught hard, he flexibly dodged in the air and passed through the gaps of the incoming crossbow arrows. Only when it was impossible to avoid them did he take action. "How much time do you think it will take to open the passage for me, old Sun?" The diameter of one end of the dark alloy rod in Sun Wukong's hand expanded to several meters, like a siege ram hitting the shield of Yungziaoding again, causing a raging energy aftermath. "It's coming soon, it's coming soon. Liang's defense system is not a cabbage that can be seen everywhere. I need to calculate it, my queen. I'll be fine in a moment." Morgana called up the projection operation platform and used the Demon II super shipboard computer to analyze the data of Liang's Yungziaoding shield. Different from the time and space deflection shield of the angelic civilization, Liang's Yungziaoding fully applies the 4 words of wealth and wealth. The shield strength is frighteningly high and the recovery speed is extremely fast. This must involve some kind of powerful stellar fusion technology. While Liang Bing was hot-eyed, he had to sigh at Liang's technical level. Sure enough, there is no simple one that can stand firm in the known universe. However, no matter how she jumped over the shield of the celestial battleship and went straight to Huanglong, Morgana dared to be second, and no one in the known universe dared to be first. "Okay, I will make a hole for you, so you can go in and make a big fuss." After Liang Bing finished speaking, he used the wormhole array carried by Demon 2 to directly graft and convert the space where a shield in Yungziaoding was located to another place. This formed a picture that was incredible to Liang. It was clear that the shield of Yungziaoshan was operating normally, but there was a gap in one area. "Thank you, old Sun, will remember your favor. Next we will arrive at my home court, Liang, prepare to die." Sun Wukong accelerated past the shield outside the Yungziao heavenly court and rushed into the Yungziao heavenly courtyard. The dark alloy rod in his hand extended to hundreds of meters, and in a few strokes he destroyed all the platforms carrying the Liang army. At this moment, the Liang army stationed in the Yungziao heavenly court no longer cared about the casualties and all moved into action. They gathered into a huge Liang army formation and surrounded Sun Wukong, attacking from all directions. Sun Wukong was unafraid, and golden dark energy emerged from his body. The next moment he shouted loudly and transformed into hundreds, shocking the soldiers of the Sun army present. One Sun Wukong is so powerful, but now there are hundreds of them, how can we fight? However, under the orders of Liang pioneer officer and Liang general who led the team, they could only bite the bullet and rush forward. To the relief of Liang general who led the team, they were a little relieved. These clones separated by Sun Wukong are not as powerful as the original one. With the tacit understanding of the military formation skills of the Sun Wukong army and the Sun Wukong pioneer holding the god-killing spear, they can still barely cope with them. Oh, this is the so-called art of clones, and they are clones with physical body and combat intelligence. He 11 was also very surprised. Although he had seen the art of clones in the information, he 11 had not used this technology in practice before. Because Sun Wukong's indestructible divine body specifically has mass energy conversion technology equipped with this technology, the reason why these clones are entities is actually using cloning technology similar to biotechnology. By carrying the cloned body on the body through mass energy conversion technology and activating it when needed, the spectacular scene like this can be formed. But it is not without its shortcomings. The cloning process of this cloning technology is not fast, and it also consumes time and energy costs. If you want to improve the operating efficiency of this technology, the divine body needs to go into sleep to reduce consumption. However, the angel's divine body does not have this function. It is not impossible to install it, but it will need to occupy other functional modules. However, he 11 quickly changed his mind. Since this technology cannot be carried, why not use mature wormhole transport technology to create such physical clones in advance and transport them directly when needed? Moreover, this method can also avoid the problem of the clone being inconvenient to carry. According to He 11's visual inspection, the strength of Sun Wukong's clone is not very high, probably at the level of an ordinary third-generation super soldier. And none of them have any energy output capabilities, and can only engage in close hand-to-hand combat. These shortcomings should be specially designed for intelligent conversion, otherwise Sun Wukong's computing power would not be able to carry so many clones. Sun Wukong's clone technique really shocked Liang, because hundreds of Sun Wukong clones who are comparable to the third-generation super warriors are already a considerable force. You must know that the high-level angel battle group that angels were once famous in the universe only had a few hundred angels. Now that Sun Wukong has shown such a hand, it is equivalent to Liang fighting a general army composed of hundreds of Liang generals. Although these clones only know the most basic hand-to-hand combat, it is enough to make Liang pay a high price. When Sun Wukong was making a big fuss in the Yungxiao heavenly court, a stream of light rushed into the atmosphere of China and stopped at the edge of the Yungxiao heavenly court. Leng held the flaming sword and scanned the surroundings with both eyes. She came here in a hurry to stop Liang from attacking China. As for whether Sun Wukong needed her help, in Leng's opinion, it was not needed for the time being. Sun Wukong obviously had the upper hand at the moment. Leng did not directly help Sun Wukong. In fact, she had some concerns. After all, she was a working battle angel of the angel civilization. If she had a conflict with Liang, it would be easy for the angel civilization to make enemies. Although Liang has never had much interaction with angel, at least he has not openly quarreled with angel. Even if there is a conflict of interest between the two in some places, it will not be brought to light. But making enemies publicly is different. If the one who is wronged is still an angel, then Liang stands on the moral high ground and can easily ruin the reputation of the angel. After all, most of the civilizations that are on the stage in the known universe today are basically from the former Kamigawa Pan-Civilization Alliance, and they all have more or less incestuous love. If the angels really become the public enemies of the universe, they have resisted the united front of animal civilization may not reappear. The moment Leng appeared, Demon number 2 detected it, and Morgana felt nervous about it. Quickly, look carefully for me, the Queen, to see where the angel came from. Damn it, I didn't expect there to be angels hiding here, but luckily we didn't show up in a big way. If that bitch Kesha is hiding here, we're going to have to bleed a lot this time. Morgana now thinks she is no match for Kesha, so she has been avoiding direct encounters with Kesha all these years. Her wormhole technology has made some breakthroughs recently, and she plans to compete with Kesha after she succeeds. Now this was not the time for a large-scale conflict with the angels. Unlike the demons who were scrambling to find traces of the angels, Yongxiao Tianting had already entered the first level of combat readiness. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 814. How did Sun Wukong break through the defense system of Yongxiao Tianting? What do you people do for food? Only he could understand the bitterness in Pan Zhen's heart at this moment. Lai Yang seemed to have failed this time. General, Sun Wukong used some means to open a wormhole in our defensive shield. He rushed in before we could stop him. Master Lai Yang knelt on the ground and buried his head deeply, not daring to look at Pan Zhen's face. Pan Zhen was furious when he heard this, and even made several fingerprints with his fingers on the armrest of the seat. I asked you to come here not to explain to me, but to solve the problem. Do you know? Yes, General, we will solve the wormhole immediately. The Lai Yang master below said quickly, and Pan Zhen felt upset when he saw this. Go quickly. Pan Zhen exhaled heavily, stood up from his seat, and walked toward the exit of Yongxiao Hall. Complex lines formed by the orange-red sun's rays appeared on his ancient-style armor. The original silk lining and black steel plate armor gradually dissipated, replaced by a layer of silver-gray close-fitting combat uniforms and pieces of silver armor. Finally, Pan Zhen's head was covered with a white stripe hanging from the back of his head, covered by a tasseled helmet. Compared with the previous armor that looked majestic and traditional, Pan Zhen's armor now is lighter and more concise, and almost all of his body is covered in silver armor, with no skin exposed except for his face. Large-scale wormhole transportation is a technology that only demons are proficient in. Unexpectedly, demons also came to Chaiwa's star system to join in the fun, while angels looked on and did nothing. It's true that God has no mercy on the blazing sun, but today I'm going to tell you all that the blazing sun is not something to be trifled with either. As an old god who has lived for tens of thousands of years, Pan Zhen has always been concerned about the existence of names in the universe. Among them, angels and demons, who often start fights and mess up the universe, are no exception. Pan Zhen is also very aware of some of their abilities and signature techniques. Large wormhole transportation has always been the patent of demons. Although angels also have this technology, it must be supplemented by a sky blade and requires a lot of preparation time. The devil is much more concealed and can do such a thing without showing up, so Pan Zhen believed that the wormhole that broke through the defense of Yongxiao Tianting must be related to the devil. On the other side, the devil too, where Morgana was located, carefully scanned and discovered Angel Yan, who had been hiding on the moon, and Angel Leng, who was now in China. Apart from these, no other traces of angels were found, which made Morgana feel a lot more relieved. At least Kessa did not ambush her here. However, the full power scanning of Demon 2 is naturally not without cost, otherwise it would have been started when it arrived in China. The high-intensity scanning made Devil Number 2 stand out like a beacon in the dark night, and it was immediately noticed by Angel Yan, He-11, and Leng. Immediately, the Eye of Insight was opened for counter-scanning. Through the computing power support of the Holy Kesha Knowledge Treasure House, Demon Number 2 was immediately exposed to the Eye of Insight. Yan was shocked and immediately recognized Demon Number 2 as the flagship of Demon King Morgana, and immediately decisively contacted Merlot Heavenly Court to bring in reinforcements. Leng glanced at Sun Wukong, who was killing people in the Heavenly Court of Yongxiao, and flapped his wings and flew out of China again, because in Leng's insightful eyes, more than a dozen demons flew out of demon number 2, heading towards them not far away. It flew in the far direction of the moon. And where Yan and the accompanying angels happened to be hiding, Len was very worried about Yan's comfort. When she was in the world of justice, her teacher also told her some of her past events in her spare time, including the story about the demon king Mogan. NA's rating is very high. The relationship between Len and Yan can't be said to be harmonious, but that's just because the relationship between the two is competitive, far from the level of risking death. It would be better to say that if the competitive relationship between the two is eliminated, Len Hian is actually quite a good friend. Achuo, Yan is in the area to your right, find her for me. Keisha is not here today, so we will operate on her sacred left wing first. Knowing that Kesha was not here, Morgana immediately became confident, and immediately asked Ato to lead a dozen big demons to deal with Angel Yan. I understand, Queen, today I must avenge the last sword attack. Achuo said coldly. The last war between angels and demons was when Yan led the angels to defeat the demons he led. Over the years, he has worked hard to practice combat skills in order to one day wash away his shame. Well, be careful, don't let Yan get away. On the moon, Angel Yan led a group of angels to fly towards the other side of the moon, preparing to leave the Chaiwa star system first to escape the pursuit of the devil. Sister Yan, we have been discovered. I know that Morgana is nearby. We are no match for the devil now. Let's leave here first. Yan understands very well that now is not the time to show off. Now that the angel army is not here, showing off will only lead to total destruction. When Achuo discovered the traces of Yan and his group of angels, he immediately applied for the support of Demon 2, and appeared directly in front of Yan through the wormhole array. Faced with the sudden appearance of Achuo and several vertically flying scarlet sword energies, Yan and several angels around him could only temporarily reduce their speed to avoid it. In this short period of time, several great demons had already surrounded Yan and his group of angels. Yan, I didn't expect you to fall into my hands today. You have killed so many of my brothers, and today I will let you feel the pain too. Achuo's voice was cold, with a sense of joy. You demons have done a lot of evil and you all deserve to die. You should thank me for judging their sins. At least they will not be disgusted with themselves in the previous life because of this in their next life. Yan and several angels were back to back, raising the flaming sword in their hands and pointing it at Achuo. His tone was frivolous, and he didn't look like he was in a desperate situation at all. But Yan's heart felt cold. It seemed that he couldn't do anything good today. If he had known this, he would have opened the sky blade. Through the eyes of insight, Hexi naturally saw the scene where Yan was surrounded by demons. Seeing that Yan was trapped, the fingers on his knees moved slightly, and Xing Ming suddenly appeared beside him. But then he raised his eyebrows, as if he had seen something interesting, and the raised finger fell again, and Xing Ming fell silent again and disappeared into the void. Just when Achuo didn't want to talk nonsense with Kazuhiko and was about to meet with her subordinates, a warning from the demon number 2 dispatcher came over the communication. Achuo, there is a UFO approaching you, get out of the way. What? Achuo was stunned, and looked up to see streaks of red light coming at him quickly. He quickly raised the broadsword in his hand to block it in front of him. The next moment, Achuo only felt a strong force hitting the weapon in his hand. He flew backwards for hundreds of meters before stopping. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 815. The other big demons present also followed Achuo's footsteps and were knocked away by the stream of light coming from a distance. After Achuo stabilized his body, he looked up. A female angel with a ponytail and a strand of hair hanging from her forehead was hovering above Yan's group of angels. Behind her were dozens of angels that were slowly hovering behind her. The flaming sword. Who is this? Len exhaled, and the secret passage finally caught up. In order to save Xia Yan, Leng directly used her teacher's arsenal and transported a dozen modified flaming swords, flying type, through her own authority. It is also the second most stocked weapon in the teacher's arsenal. The first one is the Tai alloy sword, explosive type. The rest are smaller numbers with special effects. Leng can't tell them apart from their names. Roll. Fortunately, the teacher gave her the subroutine of the Sky Sword when granting her access to the weapon arsenal. The Sky Sword system can assist her in controlling the arsenal. Leng, when did you come back? This place is very close to Devil number 2, we can't stay long. Yan was surprised when Leng came back and became so powerful, but he didn't think that Leng could fight against the demons by himself, so it was better to leave now. Leng is not afraid of these demons. After Binghua's teachings and Ziluo's strict training, he has become familiar with fighting in disadvantageous situations, and has developed a fighting spirit to fight to the death, let alone fight these demons. She is more powerful than she is now. Don't worry about me, Yan, you go first. I just returned to the known universe and happened to pick up these demon sacrifice flags. After saying that, Leng rushed towards Achuo, the most conspicuous among the demons, dragging dozens of flying flaming swords behind him. A2 felt that the person coming was unkind but was not afraid, so he rushed towards him with a big sword in his hand, but he was soon defeated. Leng knocked Achuo backwards with one blow, and then dozens of flaming swords from behind struck directly at Achuo, cutting dozens of horrific scars on his body that were deep enough to show the bones. No, Queen, I can't hold it anymore. Atuo felt that if he came again, his life might be decided here, so he quickly shouted in the communication. Damn, I remember this Leng was just a third-generation little angel hundreds of years ago, how come he has become so powerful now? Even Achuo can't walk for one round. No, I, the Queen, will go and meet her in person. Morgana saw the shadow of a familiar presence on Leng's body, and planned to confirm it herself. And in this short period of time, the big demon who followed Achuo into the battle had already skewered several people with the flaming sword controlled by Leng, which made Yan and the several angel warriors behind her dumbfounded. The great demon is not a cabbage that can be seen everywhere, but an elite among demons. It can be compared to the elite second-generation angels among angels, or the high-level third-generation angels, which is Yan's current level. However, because the equipment and tactics of demons are generally inferior to those of angels, the great demon is not considered powerful in the eyes of angels of the same level, but it is very difficult to deal with. Achuo opened the distance between him and Leng, preparing to delay for some time. But Leng did not intend to give Achuo this opportunity. She had upgraded her third-generation divine body and theoretically had the same level of computing power as her teacher. The arsenal of weapons in Leng's hands could theoretically exert the same power as Binghua's. But in fact, the effect of the arsenal in Leng's hands is greatly reduced, because Leng can only use the sharpness of the weapon itself and the preset basic functions, such as the use of more advanced algorithms, which she cannot do at all. Just like now that Leng wanted to attack Achuo in the distance, he could only carry more flaming swords, flying type, from the weapon's arsenal, block Achuo's hiding space by relying on their numbers, and shoot him directly to death. If it were Binghua, there would be no need for such trouble. He could directly activate the dark energy cutting inside the flaming sword, flying type, or introduce multiple flaming bombing algorithms, and he would be able to blow up Achuo to nothing on the spot. Just when Leng thought he could rely on his numerical advantage to shoot Achuo to death, a black metal claw appeared in the void in front of Achuo, blocking the flying flaming sword. The next moment, all the flaming swords that attacked Achuo hit the palm of this giant black metal claw and flew back. But the metal claw grabbed it, and then held it hard. As it opened its claws again, the flaming sword caught in her palm had all turned into scattered fragments. Leng was a little shocked when she saw this scene. The flaming sword was the standard weapon of angels and was extremely tough. But now it was easily destroyed by these metal claws. She couldn't help but be surprised. Then a wormhole opened and Morgana flew out, wearing the same extremely exaggerated makeup as Leng saw in the data image, as if she was deliberately showing off her rebelliousness and uniqueness. The flying sword of flame is a familiar thing. What is your relationship with Binghua? Why do you have her weapon? Morgana glanced at it and recognized this type of flaming sword that could be controlled. In the entire Merlot heaven, only Binghua used this thing, so she asked this question. I'm her student, is it weird to use it? While speaking, Leng was also nervously on guard. At the same time, he told Yan to leave quickly in the communication. He was confident of blocking Morgana, but he could not protect Yan and the others. Yan saw Morgana appear, and combined with the opponent's method of easily crushing the flaming sword just now, he knew that staying here would be a burden, so Leng must survive. Then he gritted his teeth and led his sister to turn into a stream of light and fly away. Morgana's attention was entirely on Leng at the moment, but she had no interest in caring about Yan. Really? Since you are her student, I will come to test whether you are qualified or not. Before Morgana finished speaking, she raised her hand and waved lightly. A metal claw suddenly appeared next to Leng. Leng was startled. She quickly controlled her body and sank down, narrowly avoiding the grasp of the devil's claw. Grip. But then the devil's claws clenched into a fist and smashed Leng away. Leng steadied his body and glanced around, catching the movements of the devil's claws, but the devil's claws disappeared and appeared, flying everywhere. Fortunately, Leng's combat training with 11 Luo was not in vain. He relied on his good combat reflexes to avoid several grasps of the devil's claws. But Liang Bing in the distance shook his head slightly in disappointment when he saw this. Binghua's students, just like this, are too weak. Knowing that she was using micro-wormhole tactics and using her eyes to catch the devil's claws, didn't she know to use a detection algorithm to check the surrounding wormhole signals? Liang Bing carried out his lightning halberd, retreated into the wormhole that appeared behind him, and suddenly appeared while Leng was dodging, and stabbed Leng's back fiercely with the halberd wrapped in an unknown purple light. Leng felt a stabbing pain in his back, and at the same time, he used the force coming from behind to turn around and swing out several flaming slashes, but Leng Bing cleverly avoided them with a slight movement of his body. So hard. Even the lightning halberd can't break through the defense. Liang Bing's heart is far from as calm as she appears on the surface. Although the halberd in her hand is called a lightning halberd, it is also a god-killing weapon that can cause damage to the divine body. The once holy left wing Elan was pierced by this weapon. Although it could not cause fatal injuries, it was enough to damage the angel's third-generation divine body. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 816. Micro-wormhole tactics. Sky Sword checks whether there are any weapons for this aspect in the teacher's arsenal. Leng avoided the torrent of lightning emitted by the lightning halberd in Liang Bing's hand, and while flying to distance himself from Morgana, he communicated with the Sky Sword system. Is in the process of searching, and functional weapons that meet the requirements have been found in the arsenal. There are 3 models in total. They are space disruption swords equipped with space medium interference algorithm. Wormhole transport disruptor sword equipped with wormhole interference algorithm. A space-time sword equipped with a space-time disruption algorithm. Leng could only see some characteristics of these 3 weapons from their names, but she didn't know which weapon was most suitable for the current situation. Sky Sword, can you detect what kind of tactics Morgana is using? Okay, start the Sky Sword scan, scanning the Demon King Morgana. Tianjian's answer was concise and concise. As Binghua's supercomputer, although it was only a subroutine following Leng, the information in the database was very comprehensive. Morgana also noticed Leng's scanning and said disdainfully. Even you, a little angel, want to scan this queen and see how my demon supercomputer can crush you. Morgana used her demon number 2 supercomputer without hesitation, and Tianjian's computing power was instantly suppressed, resulting in only some basic information being scanned. Due to the interference of unknown computing power, there is a major lack of scanning information according to the known conditions. It can be concluded that the opponent is using the third-generation micro-wormhole strategy. It is recommended to use the space medium with weapon number 15248 to disrupt the built-in algorithm of the sword to interfere with and curb the opponent's micro-wormhole transport speed. Tianjian gave a countermeasure, and Leng Vinian connected to the Tianjian weapons depot without hesitation. After avoiding the devil's claws that attacked again, a long sword with a strange shape was carried out by Leng. The straight and slender sword body has a hollow sword spine in the middle that shines with blue energy. The sword grid is inlaid with a blue prismatic crystal that is used as a weapon engine carrier. Morgana frowned slightly. This scene gave her an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Binghua was also like this in the past. He would always take out some gadgets that she had never seen before, suppressing her to the point of death. Please note that Angel Leng, the strength of the space media disruption sword is lower than that of normal flame-level weapons. Please use it with caution. Leng nodded slightly, raised the space-time medium disruption sword in his hand, and connected it to the weapon engine at the sword grid. The space medium disruption algorithm was instantly activated, and the blue energy stored in the sword spine exploded and spread in all directions. Morgana put down the arm that was covering her face and frowned slightly. What kind of tricks did Angel Leng do? The attack she launched did no harm. Morgana didn't think much about it and reached out to recall the demon's claw from afar, but there was no response and she quickly asked the demon dispatcher of demon number 2. What's going on? Why can't my devil's claw come back? Queen, the energy shockwave sent by Angel Leng just now disrupted the space medium in the space near you. We need to rebuild the optimized wormhole algorithm model, otherwise it will take several times more computing power than before to carry out wormhole transportation, and there will also be a certain time delay. After the cold start of the space medium disrupted the sword's algorithm, he also received a warning message from the Tianjian system. Because the surrounding space medium has been changed, the weapons depot needs to reanalyze the space medium in the nearby space and update the transportation algorithm. The weapons depot will not be able to carry out transportation operations before the update. Leng Vinian said something bad. Isn't this just hurting the enemy by 1,000 and hurting yourself by 800? To put it simply, it is to temporarily ban the use of micro-wormhole technology in this space. In fact, the Sky Sword system is also very helpless. Leng's abilities are quite different from those of the Queen. It is not about combat awareness, but knowledge reserves. Among the 3 weapon models that can suppress the third-generation micro-wormhole tactics, only the space media disruption sword requires the least technical level. Because this technology directly disrupts the space medium itself, it is like throwing a pebble into the calm water. Before the waves calm down, any use of space technology will require several times more computing power than usual. Although the space medium was temporarily changed, this did not affect the confrontation between Morgana and Leng. Facing Leng, who was charging towards him with 2 swords, Morgana turned the lightning halberd in her hand and faced him directly. Although the wormhole transport has been affected to some extent, Liang Bing, as a god-level player in this area, is not unable to play at all. He can still transport it at close range. In the blink of an eye, the weapons of both sides collided dozens of times. The more Leng fought, the more surprised he became. The information recorded in Morgana's and Angel's databases were somewhat inconsistent. The opponent's hand-to-hand combat level was not as high as recorded. Especially the long halberd in the opponent's hand, combined with her close-range wormhole transport, her attacks were unpredictable. If Leng hadn't had a strong body, several holes would have been poked in her body. Liang Bing became more and more surprised the more he fought. Although his wormhole ability was suppressed, the little angel in front of him, who claimed to be a student of Binghua's hand-to-hand combat skills, was surprisingly inconsistent with her age. Morgana has lived for tens of thousands of years. Compared with a killer like Binghua, her melee combat skills are certainly a bit weak, but this does not mean that this is her weakness. Even the former holy left-winger Elan's melee level was not much different from hers. The Leng who was fighting her now, although he was a little immature in all aspects, was already much better than an ordinary angel. Easily avoiding Leng's slashing attack that was packed with the energy of the flame bombardment, the lightning halberd in Morgana's hand stabbed Leng in the abdomen. After receiving a lightning strike, Leng immediately flew backwards with lightning all over his body. I won't play with you anymore, devil number 2. Has the wormhole algorithm model been re-optimized? Report to the Queen, the optimization has been completed, and you can start the wormhole transfer at any time. Morgana nodded and held the lightning halberd with one hand. She opened her right hand and held it in the direction of Leng. The dark devil's claw suddenly appeared behind Leng, who was flying upside down, and grabbed her upper body. Okay, it seems that you are not qualified as a student of Binghua. Next, prepare to be crushed to pieces by me. As Morgana spoke, the corners of her mouth were slightly raised, and her fingers that were clenched gradually tightened. The other side gritted her teeth and tried hard to break free from the clutches of the devil, but she could only delay the tightening of the devil's claws. Leng felt that he seemed to be a little too swollen. Morgana was highly praised by the teacher, but he still blindly went hard on her. It was really too reckless. Heavenly Sword, search for a powerful weapon, one that can cause damage to Morgana. Leng gritted his teeth and held on while connecting with Tianjian in his heart. Tianjian also listed a long list of weapon models according to Leng's conditions in a timely manner. Leng chose a weapon called the Destruction Sword, because there were hundreds of it in stock and it seemed to be a consumable weapon. Even if the weapon was obtained by Morgana after his death, I believe the teacher would not be too distressed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 817. On the other side, Liang Bing frowned slightly when he saw that a devil's claw could not be squeezed for a long time. He directly added another devil's claw and opened his bow on the left and right at the same time. The huge tearing force made Leng miserable, but he still managed to connect to the weapons depot and directly carried out 4 destruction swords at one time. Liang Bing naturally also discovered the micro-wormhole transport fluctuations that appeared next to Leng, and said in a frivolous tone, "You have been caught by me, do you think you can still run away?" Leng did not respond to Morgana's words. 4 heavy swords that were golden in color and covered with luxurious patterns appeared in the surrounding void. The most eye-catching thing about them was that there was a large gap in the sword grid where the weapon engine was installed. Instead, a sphere of energy that exudes a different kind of warm glow, like a star. Without any hesitation, Leng directly controlled the 4 destruction swords to fly towards Morgana. Morgana's eyes widened slightly, because as soon as the 4 destruction swords appeared, news came from Demon number 2. "Queen, get out of there quickly, that thing is very energetic." But it was already a little late. The destruction sword flew at an unusually fast speed and arrived near Morgana in the blink of an eye. The next moment, dazzling light bloomed in the universe, turning into 4 giant orange fireballs connected together, as if there were 4 more suns in the universe. Leng didn't expect the explosion of the destruction sword to be so powerful. In addition, she was very close to the explosion point. It felt as if she was facing the burning of stars, and her eyes were so stimulated by the strong light that she could not open her eyes. Then the huge impact pushed her to the surface of the moon together with the devil's claws on her body, and she fell hard to the ground. Leng, who had regained his composure, felt that the restraining power of the devil's claws had weakened, and immediately took the opportunity to break free from the restraints, and began to use this gap to quickly repair the damage to the divine body just now. When the terrifying glow that illuminated the surrounding space gradually dissipated, a micro-wormhole opened, and Morgana emerged from it. She looked around with lingering fear, the corners of her eyes twitching slightly. If she read correctly, it was stellar fusion technology just now. Fortunately, she ran fast enough. If she was hit from close range, depending on her divine body that was specially weakened for the micro-wormhole technology, she might be directly seriously injured or even blown to pieces on the spot. This Leng actually mastered such a dangerous technique. No, it was that guy Binghua. It seemed that he had made a lot of progress in the past few years. After feeling the state of the Devil's Claw, Morgana's face became a little uglier, because Leng broke free from the Devil's Claw and ran away somewhere. Just as Morgana was about to use the Demon 2 to search for traces of Leng again, she felt something disappear immediately and appeared more than 10 meters away. At this moment, a silver stream of light came from not far away, suddenly cutting through the space where Morgana was originally located, hovering not far away and constantly rotating its own blade. Liang Bing, bullying a junior is nothing, why don't we two sisters chat about family matters? As a voice sounded that was both familiar and unfamiliar to Morgana, Morgana saw a crack in the void not far away, and He-11 stepped out of it unhurriedly. I didn't expect that this Chaiwa star system would be so lively, and it would even attract you, the holy right wing of Merlot Heavenly Court. Morgana's face was relaxed, but she was already wary in her heart. He-11 was not as cold as before. The opponent was as good at countermeasures as Binghua, but compared to Binghua, He-11 was slightly inferior in combat. Fortunately, he didn't expose his latest research results when he was fighting Leng just now, otherwise He-11 might have learned from him, and He-11's understanding of micro-wormhole technology is not weak. Like Binghua, Morgana also didn't want to fight with He-11, because the opponent knew her third-generation micro-wormhole tactics very well and had certain countermeasures. Just as the two looked at each other silently, as if reminiscing about the past, Leng Fei came over and stopped next to He-11. His meaning was self-evident. But He-11 said at this time, "Leng, where should you go to China first? Sun Wukong and Lai Yang will probably become life and death enemies if they continue to fight. When the sun gets angry, China may be gone. Now that the two sides are evenly matched, it's time to end this war." He-11 said to Leng on the side, not wanting to avoid Morgana. "What if Lai Yang doesn't agree? I don't have the confidence to stop the conflict between the two sides now." Leng asked very self-awarely, if Leng, who had just arrived in the Chaiwa star system, still had the confidence to prevent the conflict between Lai Yang and Sun Wukong, but after being beaten by Morgana, a veteran god, Leng had calmed down a lot. "Don't worry, I've already contacted your teacher. You just need to go there, and your teacher will naturally come forward to stop the conflict between Lai Yang and Sun Wukong." Leng nodded. With the teacher's intervention, Leng felt relieved. Binghua's importance in his heart could now be compared with that of Queen Keisha, the king of the gods. Morgana had no intention of stopping Leng from leaving. He-11 looked at the empty environment around him, and as soon as he raised his hand, a rock platform was carried out, along with a wooden seat. "Liang Bing, you don't have to be so vigilant, I know I can't kill you. But it's not that easy for you to get rid of me, so I advise you to put away your little calculations." He-11 sat on the seat behind him, crossed his legs and supported his cheek with his hand, looking at Morgana like this. His other hand was placed on the armrest, and his index finger kept tapping lightly. Liang Bing was exposed by He-11 and didn't think about hiding it. He put a little distance away from He-11, and his peripheral vision kept falling on seeing Ming hovering over there. "Now that you know, why bother staying here and wasting time?" Two demon claws appeared behind Liang Bing, but he didn't act rashly. She was happy that He-11 didn't do anything, because her demon number 2 was transferring. "Who said I was wasting my time? I'll stay here and watch you to save you from doing anything else." It should be your hand that Sun Wukong can enter the heavenly court, otherwise he would not be able to get in with his reckless fighting style. Yes, I saw that he was quite pleasing to the eye, so I gave him a small favor. Why, does this also make you, the Holy Right, unhappy? Morgana admitted it generously and had no intention of hiding it. You didn't offend me, but you managed to offend Liang. I believe your life will not be easy after that. While He-11 and Morgana were talking, a burst of dazzling light suddenly burst out from Shenzhou, temporarily attracting their attention. Flare bombing, I didn't expect Pan Zhen to be able to do this. It seems Liang's strength needs to be re-evaluated. Seeing this, He-11 whispered to himself, but Morgana's complexion was not so good. Before this, he had looked down on Pan Zhen, the mediocre guardian of the sun. The opponent is not the sun god and has not mastered the single star driving technology. In addition, Liang's god-killing technology is also very average. The devil is not weak to Liang. But now Pan Zhen has demonstrated the ability to drive stellar fusion energy for flare bombing, which means that the opponent is likely to be Liang's new sun god. It just so happens that their demons offended Liang not long ago, and asked you if you are afraid of a being who can easily detonate stars. They have been thinking about you. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 818. There are flaws. Seeing that Liang Bing was attracted by the events in China, He-11 decisively controlled the star to move towards Morgana. But it was a pity that when the rotating blade of star life was less than 5 meters away from Morgana, it hit the demon's claw flying over, causing a brilliant spark to rub off. Hexi sighed secretly, but Xingming did not stop attacking. He quickly changed the angle to bypass the demon's claw blocking the front, and continued to cut Morgana behind. Damn, you bitch actually attacked me secretly. Morgana yelled angrily to relieve the tension when facing the Star Life blade, because Star Life was not an ordinary weapon and could cut through her third-generation divine body like a watermelon, so she had to be careless. Seeing Morgana running around in the universe being chased by Xingming, He-11 sighed helplessly, that was all she could do. Even though Morgana looks very embarrassed, Star Life is not designed to be a god-killing weapon. It has no other functions except sharpness. The only special thing is that the control distance can reach about 50 light-years. As for the micro-wormhole algorithm that banned Liang Bing, she could only slightly interfere with it, making it less smooth when she used the micro-wormhole, because the computing power of both parties was about the same. Unless, like Len before, he interferes with the space medium regardless of friend or foe, making it more difficult for both sides to use space technology. But Hexi doesn't have the habit of making various functional weapons like Binghua. In addition, she didn't make any preparations for coming to the Chiwu star system this time. Now she can only drag Liang Bing like a monkey like she is now. If he were in Merlot heaven, He-11 was confident that even 2 Morganas were not enough for her to fight. With the wormhole calculation disabled and using space-based computing cloud-driven space-time algorithm to interfere with Liang Bing's sense of time and space, he could easily subdue her. However, her fighting style is too limited by the environment, which is why He-11 rarely goes out to fight after the angel war between men and women. After being chased for a while, Morgana also got angry. She turned around and reached out to grab, confining the space around Xingming, limiting Xingming's pursuit. But the next moment, Star Life broke through the confinement and continued to spin and cut, causing Morgana to curse in her heart, trouble. In desperation, he could only control the devil's claws to grab the Star Life. The two collided and erupted with dazzling sparks. The rotating Star Life cut a small gap in the devil's claws visible to the naked eye. But soon Morgana withstood one round of Star Life's attack. While Star Life was charging, Morgana began to use the time and space algorithm to build a time and space corridor around herself. Seeing this, He-11's eyes glowed with a faint white light in the distance, and he quickly solved the time and space corridor established by Morgana. At the same time, he constantly interfered with Morgana's wormhole algorithm and interfered with her transportation. After the star life was fully charged, it turned into a silver light and shadow and cut towards Morgana again, but this time it passed directly through Morgana, and failed to cut through Morgana's entity several times. He-11 clicked her tongue when she saw this. Liang Bing was still as slippery as before, and she found Xin Ming's weakness so quickly. That is, the star life itself does not have the function of dark energy cutting, and the energy reflection is not strong. It is easy to grab using space-based algorithms, and it will not increase the difficulty of grabbing due to excessive energy. Morgana had not had the opportunity to face He-11 alone before, so she had not studied the means to target Xin Ming, but today she suddenly discovered that Xin Ming was not that difficult to deal with. A confident smile suddenly appeared on his face. When Xin Ming passed through the time and space corridor again, he directly closed the time and space corridor and locked Xin Ming into the time and space closed loop. The star fate kept rotating and cutting beside Morgana but could not move forward even half a minute. However, during He-11's operation, the star fate kept moving, which was very embarrassing. He-11 raised his eyebrows slightly and felt that things were a bit troublesome, while Morgana said proudly, "How about it? The star you rely on has been trapped by me. If you have any other means, use it quickly, otherwise I won't be polite." He-11 shook her head slightly, stood up from her seat calmly, stretched out her hand, and a big sword appeared from the void and was held in her hand. He-11 looked at the patterns on the sword and said with emotion, "I haven't used you for a long time, buddy. Today we will warm up together for the first time in a long time. Are you going to fight me with a sword?" Morgana had a question mark on her face. He-11 was a well-known scientific research angel in the Merlot Heavenly Court. Very few angels had seen this holy right-winger holding a sword. Although Morgana knew that He-11's melee skills were very good, in the past, when Merlot Heavenly Court and He-11 competed, the two sides competed for computing power and technology, and only used their swords a handful of times. "What, you don't dare?" He-11 swung the épée in his hand twice casually to get familiar with the old man's touch. "How is that possible? But you won't ask for mercy for a while." Morgana summoned her lightning halberd and a pair of devil's claws, looked at He-11 and said in a deep voice. Seeing that He-11 had no intention of taking action first, Morgana dodged into the wormhole and appeared beside He-11. The lightning halberd in her hand slashed out mercilessly. But it was blocked by the upright sword. Morgana immediately controlled the devil's claws to grab He-11, but she missed it and only scratched the rock platform where He-11 was standing to pieces. He-11 stepped back lightly and saw Morgana in the position she had just been in. The corners of her mouth were slightly raised, and she pointed a finger at Morgana and whispered a word. "Ben." Morgana's complexion suddenly changed. An invisible force of confinement pressed on her and the devil's claws, making her unable to move. The surrounding space seemed to have turned into substance and was misaligned with the surroundings. It was a pity for He-11 to see this. The existence imprisoned in the space cage could not be attacked, because that space had been separated from the real space and became a separate individual. This is both a means of trapping the enemy and a means of defense. Unless the space is broken together, any attack will be useless, and it will not be able to trap Morgana, who is proficient in time and space technology, for a long time. He-11 ignored the trapped Morgana, but came to Xin Ming, who was locked up by the closed loop of time and space. He rubbed his smooth chin, thought for a moment and then waved his hand to introduce a new space algorithm into it. The originally stable space-time closed loop was directly destabilized by the invaded space algorithm. The closed loop was instantly broken, and the stars trapped in it suddenly regained their freedom. Morgana, who was still imprisoned in space, secretly cursed herself for being careless when she saw this. She shouldn't have underestimated He-11 and foolishly ran over to him knowing that the opponent was good at home games. Fortunately, Morgana also knows the space cage technology. By destroying the fulcrum of the space cage, she disintegrated the space cage and regained her freedom. But Hexy has successfully removed the space closed loop of Xin-Ming. How to fight next? To be honest, Morgana has a headache.